Spring in the Shenandoah Valley. Except for the sounds of light-hearted birds, all is quiet on the Fort Defiance campus. But on this spring day, this first day of May 1999, another sound is heard. You could hear it when you first got on campus. Actually, you could feel it before you heard it. Your pulse quickened, a little shiver went up your spine. If you were standing, you stood a little taller. The ruffle of drums echoing over the parade ground, silent witness to a century of drum beats past. The color guard and the band step off. The measured cadence of cadet footfalls on the blacktop. Cadets were marching on our campus again. May 1st, 1999, the dedication of the Roller Robinson House as the AMA Alumni House and Museum. Fishburne Military School sent its band, its color guard, its firing squad, and its superintendent to help AMA celebrate the day. Colonel Will Parkins, AMA class of 1935, raises the flag over AMA Alumni House.
We come before you today with grateful hearts, thankful always for this hallowed place. Within these walls, the great vision of the Augusta Military Academy became incarnate. From the pioneers of old Virginia came forth greatness in education for truth, justice, and peace. In thanksgiving, we remember them. We praise you for sending us the Roller family, especially Professor Tom and his wife, their children, Tom, Charlie, Magabel, W.C., and all their descendants, living and dead. We honor and memorialize those who worked, taught, and prayed here. Especially, we lift up the many cadets, living and dead, who here were educated in ascetic discipline, sound learning, pure manners, humility, and leadership through service. Doors close only to be reopened. Show us new and exciting ways to celebrate and extend our precious heritage, moving ever outward to tell this proud story of honor, bravery, and perseverance to generations yet unborn.
It's nice to have all of us back on the campus to hear the band play and the troops marching. It's a nice, wonderful, warm feeling. Once again in our rivalry, we won the tennis match that was held last Saturday at Fishburne. I just had to throw that in. Colonel Beasley.
Wait till next year.
President Saunders, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, what a privilege it is for the men of Fishburne Military School to be a part of your reunion weekend, and in particular, to be a part of the ceremonies establishing the AMA Alumni House and Museum. As many of you are aware, Colonel Morgan Hudgens and General Charles Roller, Jr. were classmates at VMI. Colonel Hudgens went on to ultimately head Fishburne Military School, and General Roller came home to Fort Defiance to head Augusta Military Academy. While these two men were friends, they were also competitors. Their respective schools had the longest running military school rivalry in the United States, lasting over 100 years. The stories about the lengths each would go to spur on their teams are still discussed today. This past weekend, through the efforts of dedicated alumni of both Augusta and Fishburne, this 100-year-old rivalry was joined once again, not on the football field, but on the tennis courts at Fishburne Military School. The first annual Hudgens Roller Cup tennis match was held last Saturday afternoon in conjunction with the activities at Fishburne's Alumni Weekend. It is with great sadness that I acknowledge, standing here 1 week later, that the Hudgens Roller Cup rests with AMA. Fishburne is already recruiting and establishing a training schedule for our tennis players from the ranks of our pre-1984 alumni to ensure that the Hudgens Roller Cup will be returned to its rightful place this time next year. It is great fun for us to get together as comrades at each other's events, to have the opportunity to reminisce about simpler days, to relive battles waged on the playing fields of our youth, and to speak of the hopes and aspirations we all have for our children and grandchildren. It is part of what marks these events as special in each of our lives. Yet while we enjoy this mutual camaraderie, each of us yearns for our own core and for our own personal identities within our respective schools. We want a place where our memories can be preserved, our icons can be ensconced, and our treasures preserved, revered, and displayed far into the future. Today we stand on the threshold of such a place for the thousands of young men who have marched across the drill fields, sat in the classrooms, and played on the athletic fields of Augusta Military Academy. The AMA Alumni House and Museum is the culmination of these hopes and desires for the long gray line of over a century of AMA men. So much of the history and spirit of the Roller family and the traditions of history of AMA that there is no other place on this earth that could fit this need as well. Every journey, regardless of the length, begins with the first step. Today, you take the first step on your journey to build a memorial to a great school, led by great men, and that sent many fine young men out into the world to make it a better place for all of us to live. Not just remembering the traditions, institutions, and people who have made their marks on each of you, but gathering it together in Alumni House and Museum is a noble and worthy endeavor. Fishburne Military School wishes you success as you proceed on your journey to rebuild the Roller Robinson House. What an honor it is for Fishburne Military School to play a part in this dedication of the Roller Robinson House as the Augusta Military Academy's Alumni House and Museum. Thank you for the privilege of being able to participate in these ceremonies. All of the members of the Corps of Cadets, the faculty, and the staff of Fishburne Military School wish you Godspeed on your journey. Thank you.
Augusta Military Academy alumni, welcome home. I do believe that this is one of the greatest days of my life. Not only are we happy to be here as the United Pentecostal Church, but what we are doing today in dedicating this house as a memorial to the past, representing all that has been embedded in the lives of so many people. There's no way to tell all that has been done by teachers and through the students that have been trained here for our great country. So I woke this morning with a little bit of inspiration, didn't have a whole lot of time. I'm a preacher, not a poet, but I just felt like writing a little bit, and I'm going to read it to you. It may be rough in a few spots, but I feel like it says what a lot of you feel today. There was a place that we called home in Fort Defiance where we never felt alone. But for the last 14 years, it's been abandoned and all alone. It was the place where we grew up and learned our ABCs and where we became tough. The place where I learned to march, salute, and drill, to eat in the mess hall till I got my fill. They dressed me in a uniform, cut my hair. I looked so forlorn. It might sound boring to all of you, but it's a place where I learned what I should do. It seems to me so long ago, I wasn't even sure that it still stood. But on May the 1st, 1999, I received a call that I could go home. Was somebody teasing me, or could it be true? Oh, why not give it a try? What else could I do? When I arrived that day, to my dismay, the football field was filled with great array. I began to see boys that I had known. They were my brothers for so very long. I pinched myself a time or two. I just couldn't believe that it was true. I'd finally come back to the place called home, and none too soon. I believe that's a feeling of a lot of men standing here today. And we're so glad, honored, to play just a small part in getting you back onto your property. I realize it may be listed in our name, but it belongs to all of us. And so in a cell just a few days ago, I saw, or one of our men saw something, and he called me, said, I bought something for the alumni house, and I would like for our church to present it to them. And so I'd like for them to carry something out here that we thought was too precious to just let anybody else have but the alumni house. There was a lot of bidding going on that day. They all wanted the frame. Reverend Hall, would you hold that up above your head first, and then hold on to it so the wind couldn't get it? Well, we found one of your students in full dress uniform. Turn it around here so some of the leaders here can see it as well. They all wanted the frame. We wanted the picture. So we thought, we can't put him in the alumni house without his clothes. So right beside it was his full dress uniform. And so we brought it, bought it, and here it is today with all the AMA buttons on it. And we present it to you, alumni. You like that? Yes, I do. You ready to get the key to this place? Yes, sir. And so today it is my honor to present a key to your fine president, Goodloe Saunders, who has become a close and dear friend to me. I know he's going to pick on me a while ago, but today we're not going to pick on each other, Goodloe. Tomorrow I'll get you. But I say it sincerely, and there's a number of our preachers standing among you, and I don't just speak for myself, but there are 45 pastors who bought this property, that all of them are in total agreement that you belong in this place. And so today it is my honor to present to Goodloe Saunders, your president, the key to the museum. We're going to have a great time together.
I think this is a several years dream come true. If we can't have the whole thing, the whole enchilada, at least we got a piece of it.
AMA alumni and friends head for the gymnasium, where the first on-campus AMA meal since 1983 was served.
My country 'tis
The luncheon started the same way assemblies in the big room used to start. A verse of America and the Lord's Prayer.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
On behalf of the Roanoke, Virginia chapter of the AMA Alumni Association, we would like to present this banner for our museum.
This ought to be a big group. How about 30 years? 69.
The honor classes were introduced, and then the minister of the Augusta Stone Presbyterian Church came to the podium.
I bring you greetings from all of the congregation and the leadership at Augusta Stone Presbyterian Church. We are, of course, as you no doubt remember from your carvings you've left with us, the church building just behind the school bus through the window here. And we are so glad that we're able to continue to be associated with your institution. You know, for more than a century, almost 120 years, these two institutions, the Augusta Stone Presbyterian Church and Augusta Military Academy, were joined and were intertwined in virtually everything that occurred. Some of you may have participated in our life involuntarily, though you are always, I hope you know, welcome, and you are still always welcome. We're so glad to see your organization being even more revitalized, and we look forward to being able to be associated with you for many, many more years to come. We're very grateful to you for the presentation that you made, and the picture that you made to us a couple of months ago is hanging now in a prominent place in the hallway. We hope you'll take a few moments and wander into the church and look around there and feel at home there in God's house. The picture that we would like to present to AMA is one that was owned originally by Ms. Sarah McHugh, and she gave it to the church, and we at the church thought, though we liked the picture, that it really more appropriately needed to rest here. And when we heard that you were establishing a museum, it was just natural that we offer this to you. It is a picture, we believe, through some research that was taken in 1888. It is the original. It has a horse cart in the back. It's, I think, fascinating because it has a young boy who apparently was one of the children, perhaps, of one of the rollers, standing with his dog in the background. And then it has this row, 2 rows of students, and they all look so serious. And a couple of them actually have their guns pointed right at the photographer. You'll have to check this out. One of them looks like he's ready for business. He's getting excited. And it's just, we think, a marvelous period picture, and it well captures the building that behind you where the museum is established. And fortunately, someone had the good judgment then to write the names of all of the individuals who were pictured. And so we've tried as well as we could to recreate those at the bottom of the picture. We hope you'll enjoy this. We treasure the chance to be able to give it to you and are honored to do that. Good luck. Thank you. And thank you for the presentation. Thanks.
Our next guest, even though I call him a very personal friend of mine, I haven't seen him since 1957. And he told me on the phone when I called him up and asked him if he would be gracious enough to come and talk to us. And he said, yes, he said, but I'm the only one you'll probably ever see that looks exactly the same as the day that I left AMA. And I said, whew, that is a tall order. I came today, and by golly, he's probably the only politician that I know who didn't lie to me. Because he does look just like he did the last time I saw him. And I'd like for you to welcome John Chichester. I had too much to eat, not drink. And he's our state senator from Fredericksburg area. And let's welcome him.
Good afternoon, and I must tell you, good Lord, I did lie when I told you that. But it's just an incredible joy to come back to AMA after these many years, and I don't see any of my class of 1955 here, but the memories are here, and I remember playing basketball here in this gymnasium that great year, 1955, when we won one game. How could I forget that? I wondered today as I came in the gate what Colonel Rolla would say today, and in addition to the joy that certainly he would have by seeing all of the cadets return in various stages of life, various classes, and various strands of gray hair. I know he would look with great joy until he looked at Luke Snyder's shoes. He'd be appalled at the uniform because it still fits Luke, but his shoes have tassels on them, and I know Colonel Rolla would have hemorrhaged over that. And he would have looked at Luke and he'd have said, "Son, son, son, I want you to write me a letter." I don't know how proficient most of you became upon leaving AMA and going to areas of higher education or into the service. But I know that there were some that were better at spelling than I was. As a matter of fact, there are probably a few people worse than I was when it came to being able to hear a word and spell it. I'm no different today than I was then. But I'll guarantee you one thing. I have never misspelled separate. And I've never made all right one word. Because those two words were on the spelling test every time Colonel Rolla put together one. So I'm 100% there. One of the things that I think that this institution brings to mind, and I can't help to be reminded of what Paul Harvey says so often in his commentary when he speaks to us each day at various times whenever you hear him. But he says this very often. He says that self-government won't work without self-discipline. Self-government won't work without self-discipline. And he applies that nationally, internationally, in whatever subject about which he chooses to speak. He repeats that phrase. And I think it's significant because self-discipline was one of the pillars of this institution and what it taught. It taught all of us what it meant to be on time and what it meant to be clean and to look your very best, because you represented so many things, not the least of which was oneself. When you left this area, you remember when he would send you down to Fort Defiance, or you would have cause to go down there and you wondered why you did this, but you had to salute every car on the road. And I'm sure that the people we met from all over this country, what on earth were we doing, or how did we know them? But we had to do that. And we always made a salute, and we dared not to do it. But that was a part of the discipline and the code. And we can look forward. That's what AMA is doing today. It's looking forward. And I'm so pleased that there's so many involved in that movement. Education today is going through a crossroads. It's in a transition. And you hear people who are involved in education, in the legislatures throughout the country. in the school boards, the classroom, the teachers, everyone involved. And that's on the lips and on the ears of everyone, especially where young children are concerned and grandchildren are concerned. More people are being taught at home today than at any other time. Enrollment in private institutions, private high schools are going up. So homeschool, private schooling is very, very much in vogue. And why? Discipline and the lack thereof. And the lack thereof. Parents today are different, it seems to me. Maybe what goes around comes around. And maybe Harry Truman was right when he said, the only thing that's new in this world is the history we don't know. But I don't recall in my youth a parent ever waiting onto a school bus to take on the driver. I don't know any of us who had the nerve to say something untoward to the driver of the school bus. Heaven help us if we said it to the teacher. Things are changing, and I'm afraid that it comes back to the home front, where something is lacking. Discipline is lacking in the home front. I've heard parents come to me telling me that they're scared of their children. They are scared of their child. One mother told me that her son was a foot taller than she, and she dared not say anything in a disciplinary manner. So things are changing. We are very fortunate, those of us who had parents, who had grandparents, who had those that were interested in us, send us to a place like Augusta Military Academy. A place that I remember being so homesick that I wanted out the first week I was here. And my parents couldn't have gotten me to come back after Christmas if I was to stay that long. But like the Army, I look upon it as something that I'll never forget. I remember the good things and the things that I learned, the self-discipline and the way to study. So as I today sigh and look around me, and surely once again the sun will set tonight on an empty barracks, but the sun will rise tomorrow on hope and the discipline and the knowledge and the certainty that is alive and well in each of us, the alumni of this institution. And I know going forward, those things that we learned will be instilled in those that follow. And that's the hope that we all carry with us. And that's to benefit a generation to come. I appreciate the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you today and to return to this marvelous institution to see all of you. Thanks so much.
After the lunch, it was time for the traditional Founders' Day ceremonies in the Augusta Stone Church Cemetery.
Alumni, faculty, family, friends, members of the Fishburne Military School Cadet Corps, welcome to the 1999 Augusta Military Academy Founders Day ceremony here in the Church Grove at Augusta Stone Church. It is my distinct honor and privilege to give a few brief remarks this afternoon. And as I look around here, I feel a sense of pride as I see the alumni standing before me today as we bring it all together for the real meaning and the understanding of why exactly we are here today. Charles Somerville Roller, after serving under Jeb Stuart in the 1st Virginia Cavalry during the Civil War, started a school in Fort Defiance to educate young minds and young men. The date for the most part is unclear, but in most publications we find the date of 1865. The earliest publications show 1873 as the Augusta Male Academy. Then in the 1880s, Augusta Classical and Military Academy, and after 1890, it officially became Augusta Military Academy. The professor adapted the military format for his school because he thought it was best suited to train and educate young men to continue their service to this great country. The professor ran Augusta until his death on 26 August 1907. After his death, his sons, Colonel Thomas J. was the principal, and Major Charles S. Jr. was the commandant. Together they ran the school from that point until Colonel Tom's death in 1946. During the years that Colonel Tom and the big boy ran Augusta together, Tom was referred simply to as the Colonel, and Charles was referred to as Major, Brass, or Big Boy. Both had such vastly diverse interests that they were able to come together and run a school to mean something that here in 1999 we still have people honoring their memory. That's outstanding. In 1917, America went to war, and the two of them decided that one of them should go and serve their country. And that was Charles, who served as a captain in the American Red Cross Ambulance Corps attached to the 89th Division. And it is believed at the war's end that on his journey back stateside that he came up with the idea for the Ad Astra Society, Ad Astra Per Astra Society. And as we all know, in 1926, this society came about. After Colonel Tom's death in 1946, the big boy ran Augusta. It is said that General Roller, my great-grandfather, did not know a bad boy. And from the eyes that I look into around here today, I would say that's a pretty accurate statement. Major Colonel General Charles S. Roller was the sole owner, principal, from 1946 until his death in March of 1963. At this time, his widow Janet S. Roller, granddaughter Linda Livick, and Colonel Mal Livick took over the school, with Colonel Livick being the administrator of operations for the school. While Colonel Livick, my father, completed his MSA, Colonel William L. Gardner was appointed superintendent from 1963 to 1966. Colonel Livick ran the school from 1966 to 1980. And one of the memories that I hold near to my heart is in 1970 or 69-70 time frame was when I stood here about the age of my little boy today, and probably doing the same thing that he's doing. Actually, he's paying attention. And understood that when my father was speaking, as he stood right here where I'm speaking today, and addressed the Corps, and provided even the youngest of minds a sense of just how great Augusta's founders really were. And I remember my mom's warm smile and uncanny ability to keep all the kids in line, because there were 5 of us, and the kids today are doing great. And Mom never missed a thing that was said or remembered about her family. Through my mom and dad, Augusta was still showing cadets the way ahead. In 1980-81 time frame, Colonel Douglas Niemeyer came on board as the superintendent. From 81 to 82, Colonel Green, and from 82 to 84, Colonel Anderson. Other significant names leading the school were Doc Savage, Sam Wells, Paul Hoover, Will Parkins, Glenn Kugler, J.D. Kramer, Molly Cavanett, Mr. Fontaine, and Tony Perduto, just to name a few. Founders Day, May 8th. Roosevelt, my great-great-grandmother, decided that the professor's birthday should be celebrated with a day off from school. Sounded like a good thing. And as we all know here today, that behind every good man is a great woman, and he listened to her, so that's a good thing too. So the Founders Day at Augusta was established, and in the early years, we were able as a Corps to march down the left side of the bowl, take a left onto US Route 11, and move in mass as a Corps to take our positions here to honor the founders. And then as US 11 became congested, we couldn't do that anymore. So we moved down the left side of the bowl, took a left into Lily Valley, and most times at a route step moved up, took our place as a Corps, and prepared for Founders Day ceremonies. The alumni gathered today, when you think about it, we'll never forget those days. But maybe we didn't fully understand its meaning until today. The memories of Augusta are one that we all hold near and dear to our hearts. And our alumni have served and continue to serve our nation, whether in the military or in the civilian world. And during World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, Desert Shield Storm, countless humanitarian efforts, intrinsic actions in the Persian Gulf, Macedonia, Bosnia, and today an Operation Allied Force. So no matter the timeline in which we attended Augusta, we all have known and felt what the spirit of Augusta really means. The inscription on my great-grandfather's tombstones reads also familiar to us all. As the shadows lengthen the night, the sun will set on an empty barracks, but your memories will soar with you for eternity. Goodbye. When this Founders Day ceremony culminates, we will all depart together, and perhaps with our chest puffed out a little bit more and a little bit more pep in our step, and a sense of pride that only an Augusta graduate can feel. Thank you, and hooah.
Our last reunion.
Frank Spencer, class of 49, read the names of Augusta men who had passed away since the last reunion.
William Armstrong, class of 1932. Donald Atkinson, class of 1966. Colonel Stanley Bach, class of 1930. C. Max Bales, class of 1945. Larry Bradbury.
Marking their 60th anniversary, the class of 1939 placed a wreath at the Roller Monument. Drums, the sound of drums and bugles and marching feet. Augusta Military Academy celebrates its 1999 reunion and dedicates the AMA Alumni House and Museum. The drums are silent again, but a new sound is replacing them. The sound of hammer and saw at work on the house within whose walls the Roller family gave life and purpose to the Augusta Military Academy. We look back over all of AMA's history, but we also look forward to a bright new day. AMA's traditions and legacy will be preserved into the 21st century and beyond, preserved in the new AMA Alumni House and Museum.